Rocket 1025.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. High temperatures reach up to 93 today under sunny skies with a slight chance of thunderstorms. Northwest winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tonight, chance for storms 63. Chance for storms tomorrow, highs around 92. Mainly clear skies and dry Saturday and Sunday, low 90s Saturday, upper 90s by Sunday. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 92 Monday, 91 Tuesday, and 91 on Wednesday. To recap, high of 93 today. We should dip down to around 63 tonight, a high of 92 tomorrow. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Currently 62.
Texting enrolls you in a reoccurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
10. Nice work.
Thanks. Taking Nugenix Total T makes a huge difference for me.
Nugenix? That's the testosterone booster with TV ads with Frank Thomas, right?
Yes.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yes. Nugenix is a great way to feel stronger with more energy and endurance. And as Frank says, you'll like it too.
Text radio to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix. Text RADIO to 321-321. That's radio to 321-321.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's got to be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Gotta change my oil.
How about Valvoline Restore and Protect? It restores and protects your engine to run like new.
Get in zone.
It restores your engine to like factory clean?
And protects.
Get in zone.
So Valvoline Restore and Protect restores and protects.
Now you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for $37.99.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Summertime is here, and so are your local Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware stores with anything and almost everything you need for these warm days. Give your place a new look with Benjamin Moore paints. Keep your lawn looking its best with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. And they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills from Traeger and Weber, plus the popular flat-top Blackstone griddles. Find it all and much more at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Colby and Goodland, open every day but Sunday.
Are you in search of a new pickup? Well, why not trust the team at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas, as they currently have great deals on all kinds of trucks. Get yourself into a 2024 GMC Sierra 1500 pickup with 5.9% APR plus $3,250 purchase allowance when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Or get a 2024 GMC Sierra 2500 pickup with 5.9% for 84 months. As always, go to hurlchev.com to schedule any service or check out what's on the lot, or just stop on by in South Goodland.
With 9 locations across Northwest Kansas, the High Plains Co-op continues to stand with you, giving you the service you need and deserve. They're here for all of your grain, feed, and fuel needs, as well as helping you manage the marketing and crop insurance sector with their HPC risk management program. Visit them online at high-plainscoop.com to get the latest markets, ag news, and information, or call them today at 785-462-3351. That's 462-3351. Continuing to stand with you is the High Plains Co-op.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
If you want to win in football, it all starts up front. Mass kicks ass.
And Christian Peck-Dimit.
You watch him even at practice, this kid's got a strap on.
The region's only local sports talk.
They're basically idiots.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Oh, God, they're everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
Showtime for the Lady Eagles.
To the pros.
Right side throw, touchdown! Kansas City!
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
Left-handed batter hits it to left field. Jordan Beck going back, leaps at the wall, and comes down with the baseball. What a grab by Jordan Beck for out number one.
DeYoung, deep left center field. He is 3 for 3, and the Royals lead 3-1 in the 6th inning.
In the air to center, Kiermaier coming in, makes the catch. Tagging is Terang. The throw home from Kiermaier. There's a play at the play. Got him! KK with a cannon. Albert in the air, deep to left field. History, number 300 for Aaron Judge.
And good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, August the 15th. Glad you could join us here on the Morning Blitz on Rocket 102.5 and 730 Gold KLOE. Glad to be with you here on a beautiful sunny start to a Thursday as we are at the midpoint of August already. Well, almost the midpoint. Pretty much going to call it that. I mean, 31's an odd number, so contact me up at 2 o'clock this afternoon today. Then we'll call that a win. Then you'll be at halfway through August, CPD.
I like it.
Yeah. So anyway, hope everyone's having a great start to your Thursday. Going to be a high of 88 today. I think partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies, depending on what you look at for the most part. But yeah, it should be a nice day again. Once again, I can dig these temperatures in the 80s. I can dig this. It's all right. My grass loves it. That's for sure. My lawn looks good, and I got to mow that at some point in time today. And I feel like that's going to be a real chore, because I think it's really grown a lot, and so it's going to take a lot of trips to the place to dump the grass.
Ross does have a very well manicured lawn, so he's got to make sure it stays on point. Paul Heskett, that must have been the first time he saw your house or something, because he was.
I've invited Paul over a couple times, but he hasn't made it to my house because of. We'll just say too many adult beverages at times when he's been over here. So he hasn't made it to the house. I've invited him over, but yeah, I can't make it.
Needless to say, when he was over for the Sherman County Fair and Parade, he absolutely loved Ross's lawn. It was about the only thing he could talk about. I thought it was very funny. Wow,
well,
Ross.
Yeah, Ross. Yeah, nice. That tree right there. Make sure you are, doesn't it? Boy, that's a nice tree you got right there. Yeah, that was the conversation with Paul Heskett for the most part. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in, no matter which way you're doing so, whether it's on the radio, online, or of course on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream through Facebook, YouTube, and X. We're glad that you are with us here on a Thursday morning, where we will continue talking with a few of the area high school coaches. Kyle Gefeller. Once again, it's always funny to visit with Kyle Gefeller a little bit. He's the head coach of Wallace County football. But I remember when I first got here, when I was in Christian's position, when I was just a young broadcaster starting out, Kyle Gefeller was, I believe, a sophomore or a junior in high school, and I was covering the games.
Oh, wow.
Kyle Gefeller was the ultimate utility man. He could play wide receiver, running back, quarterback, and he was the kicker on an 8-man team, which is so rando. Yeah. So we'll have Kyle Gefeller on. We'll talk with him about his utility position in his high school days, and we'll have him on the program to talk about this upcoming season for Wildcat football, just 30 minutes south of us here in the KKCI studios. Also today, we will update some more news on Christian's boy, JJ McCarthy. It's not good, but I think Christian might actually be for it at the same time. We'll get to
Why would I be for that?
You were saying yesterday, JJ McCarthy's going to miss the season, and you said I would rather him just take the whole 4 to 6 months and get healed up completely than just try to push through it. So
that is fair. Fair.
I think that they're doing what you probably want them to do. But we'll get a little bit more into that and some news about trade that happened early in the NFL season, which you don't see a ton of, I don't think. And then a little bit of baseball and And then a shout out to Colby Community College volleyball as well coming up
Yeah.
in the program as well. But I want to kick off this Thursday show. This is Christian's idea. I tell you, it's so sad that you're leaving here after tomorrow because I finally got you programmed to talk about the things that are good, and I like this. It gets my heart pumping. So I like this. Christian
Not just suggesting NBA topics.
Yeah. So should we talk about LeBron and if he's the greatest, or if Jason Tatum's going to overtake him as the face of the NBA? You know,
That's a Ross. That's a Ross.
No, that's
right
all
there.
Christian. But anyway, we are going to get into, because I think we're only going to have to. I had an idea yesterday, but I like Christian's idea way better. And
Well,
so
I like both of them.
I think they're fine. But Christian wanted to predict each Power 4 college football conference championship matchup here. And so last night, so I'm laying in bed and I'm reading my my Athlon Sports magazine, as you can see on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. I love Phil Steele. I love all the magazines, but this year I only found this one, and so it's the one that I've been reading the most.
Athlon's very helpful.
And so anyway, I was reading it in bed, and my wife goes, "Should I take a picture and send it to Christian? Because Ross is actually reading something." I said, "It's a magazine. It probably doesn't count. It's not a book."
I would have appreciated Janessa a picture because it's halfway there. You know, you're making it's baby steps.
Yeah, we're taking a step. So anyway, I was reading, trying to figure out, because I was like, boy, I feel good about a couple conferences, but boy, I don't know about a couple. And that's so. And honestly, my whole philosophy or thought could change while you talk or when we have these conversations. But trying to predict the conference championship game for the four major power conferences, the ACC, the Big 10, Big 12, and of course the SEC. A few of those I feel like are a little bit more easier than the other. That's just how I read it initially. What are your initial thoughts as we kick off this topic?
You know what? I'm sort of the same way. I thought going in that a couple of these would be easier. That's sort of what they ended up being. I'm a little bit sad with myself that a couple of these ended up being more chalky than I thought initially, but I think they're pretty fun. I think, to be honest with you, the biggest thing I learned with this, not that it's something I didn't know before, but certainly to a high degree this year, I think is going to be maybe just because of the condensing of the conferences, 5 power conferences now into 4. We have a lot of talent up at the top. And yes, the Big 12, I think, has the most parity and the most potential suitors for the championship out of all of them. But other than maybe the ACC, I think all 3 of those other conferences, that's the Big 10 and the SEC, as well as the Big 12, have a number of different teams that could very realistically not only be in the conference championship, but win it.
So where do you want to start? Let's just go alphabetical order. Let's start with the ACC. Who do you think will be playing for an Atlantic Coast Conference championship in a conference that is trying to pull itself apart because of its grant of rights deal? Where do you think it stands here at the end when we get to December?
Yeah, I don't know how much longer we're going to be talking about the ACC conference, and whether that be it completely splits up and we've got 3 super conferences or whatever happens. This may be one of the final years where realistically predicting them as, the upper echelon, one of the Power 4 conferences. But this is the one I thought got the chalkiest. And I've got Florida State versus Clemson. And while you may think that, oh, come on, Christian, have a little bit of creativity here, I do think that's what's going to happen. And the Clemson pick, I think, to me, has the most or the largest of a question mark next to it. Florida State, I feel a little bit more confident in. Their offensive skill positions, I think, worry me the most. That's really where they lost a lot with graduation, and whether that's Trey Benson, their running back, Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson at receiver, and of course losing Jordan Travis. I think that puts the biggest question mark on this team on the offensive skill positions. DJ Uiagalelei, getting him as a grad transfer is absolutely massive. And I think the thing about this team that I'm high on the most is that offensive line. I read this stat that They have 190 total starts at the FBS level, and 123 of those starts are with Florida State. This is going to be a very solid offensive line, and while that will not only help DJ, I think as he meshes with his receivers, hopefully, and as they sort of get everything else figured out offensively, we've talked about it seemingly ad nauseum on this show, an offensive line in their level of play can make or break a team. The defense is one that I think will benefit from a lot of transfer additions that are sort of filling in key holes. They've got up-and-coming guys too, but this is one of a number of teams you're going to hear us talk about that are really just going to rely on the stepping up of key positions picked up in the transfer portal. And then Clemson, as we know, Dabo Swinney just refuses to touch the transfer portal. And so he's got Cade Klubnik back, and he's got a number of different skill positions back. And it's sort of the inverse of Florida State, where their question mark is more going to be with the offensive line. And I just told you how important that is. Defensively, they're always great, and they bring back a number of key additions, but they lose a number of key additions as well. And while that should give you a little bit of pause, it is just a historically great Clemson program defensively. And despite not having the transfer portal to help build that up, I think they'll be just fine. I've got Clemson and FSU meeting for the ACC chip.
Yeah, it's very, very chalky. The thing about Florida State that stands out to me is they have a lot of turnover from last year's team.
Yeah.
They have a lot of turnover. That doesn't mean you can't add pieces through the portal, as you mentioned, but there's a lot of turnover. And we've seen DJ Uiagalelei have average success in his college football career, I would say, in 2 stops, in Clemson and in Oregon State. Now he's going to go to Florida State, and do we think we're all of a sudden going to see a great quarterback that comes out of that? I don't know. I don't know. The schedule is challenging. Memphis, which is a very good group of 5 team that is on their schedule. They have to go to SMU, which is a kind of an up-and-coming program. They have Clemson, at Miami, at Notre Dame, Florida. It's a challenging schedule for Florida State, which is why I don't exactly like Florida State in my ACC title game prediction. I think they're going to have a little bit of a step-down year. I do think, I think there are 5 teams, I think, that can make a push towards the ACC title game or title this year. Florida State is one of them. Clemson, Miami, Louisville, and NC State. I think those are the top 5 teams in the league. I think they all have a chance. NC State has a quarterback by the name of Grayson McCall. If anybody remembers him, he played at Coastal Carolina for many years. He's a phenomenal quarterback. He's at NC State now. I'm so intrigued to see what he can do in the ACC. Louisville has one of the better coaches that people don't talk about a lot in Jeff Brom, who does a great job. And I think they find way. They had a great year in his first year for Jeff Brom. A really good year. They went 10-4 in his first season at Louisville, or Louisville, as it's supposed to be, Louisville. So it was good. Miami has a quarterback by the name of Cam Ward, who was from Incarnate Word, went to Washington State, threw for thousands of yards, and now is at Miami. But I don't trust Mario Cristobal. So I'm going to go with Clemson and Louisville as the championship game for the ACC this year. Jeff Brom brought in a quarterback, Tyler Shug, another guy who's been around for seems like forever. He was at where was he at initially? He was at Oregon, I think. He was at Texas Tech. He's been all over the place. Tyler Shug has been. But I feel like Shug, and they've got, I know from following Brom, he'll put together a really good offense, and their defense returns a decent amount of starters. So I like that about Louisville. And Clemson, something about Dabo, he has a quarterback, I think, in Klubnik, who's back for, after a full year of starting. They have weapons on the outside. I have for pretty good confidence they're going to put a defense together, even though it is very inexperienced. So give me Clemson and give me Louisville for the ACC title game.
I like it. Louisville, I think, is. Louisville. I'm with you. Louisville. I think it's gonna, everyone. That's a Kansas thing, I think, too. Is everyone says things very quickly.
Louisville. I think that's how they say it down there. I've been told.
Louisville. So have I, and I think their schedule. You're right. FSU's schedule does give me a certain level of pause, and Louisville's certainly is is more apt to give you an ACC title, because you really just have to go through, as far as ACC opponents, Miami and Clemson. I'm not mad at that pick. I told you I was a little bit worried about how how chalky that one was. You want to go Big 10 or Big 12 next?
I think we go Big 12. That's next in alphabetical order. So Big 12. Actually, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Big 12. That's not right.
It's not.
Be not. So
Come on, Ross. This is why we read books.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hence my answer. Anyway, Big 12's fine. We can go with that. I feel pretty confident. I like my Big 12 and my Big 10 predictions. Big 12, we've talked about a lot on this show already. I think Utah is going to be waiting there in the end. I think they will be. I think their physicality is going to be, and they have, I think, the best coach in the league in Kyle Whittingham. So, and if Cam Rising can stay healthy, I know that's a big if. And I was looking at Utah's schedule. If they can just get past the first quarter of it, it's kind of, at least on paper at this point in time, it's kind of a caker. It kind of is. They have Southern Utah, Baylor, at Utah State, at Oklahoma State, home against Arizona. After that, at Arizona State, TCU, at Houston, BYU, at Colorado, Iowa State, at UCF. Not daunting. Not easy, but not daunting. So they have a very good coach. They have an experienced team, a very physical team. I like Utah to be waiting there. Where they will play, can't believe I'm saying this, the Kansas Jayhawks is who they will face in the Big 12 title game. Lance Leipold gets it done. KU's going to the Big 12 title game in Ross Volkmer's prediction this year. Once again, we talked about it yesterday. The schedule sets up so well for Kansas this year. If Jalen Daniels can stay healthy, and I know that's a humongous if he can stay healthy, they've got Devin Neal and all the weapons on the outside. Why can they not get it done? So I've got Kansas, Utah in the Big 12 title game.
Ross, I think we've got a problem. I agree with you.
Oh, you do?
And when we both agree on something, I think that may pose an issue here. But as much as I've downplayed, I don't think Utah is as incredible as you say. I think because of that, it makes me seem like a Utah hater. This is going to be a top 10 football team. I believe that. And if that's only because of, like you mentioned, the schedule, so be it. Because, yeah, they've got to go to Oklahoma State, and that's not going to be easy. And you've got Arizona as well. But you're right. It looks a little cakey after that, though you do have Iowa State in your second to last ball game. It is going to be at home. I think this is a Big 12 conference title winning team, frankly. That defense is just ridiculous. And obviously, really for both of our picks, for Jalen Daniels at KU and for Cam Rising at Utah, the health is just so important. And we're only really basing the fact that we have to be worried about their health on past injuries that hopefully won't bode anyway for this season. But that defense was fourth last year in the nation in rush yards per game, sixth in total first downs allowed, eighth in third down conversions, ninth in opponent red zone scoring. That is a phenomenal list of key statistics for a defense that brings a lot of their guys back and is just, frankly, at this point, historically great. And we've talked so much about how important culture is. That is a culture of gritty, hard-nosed defensive football. I think they get to the Big 12 chip, and yes, I think Kansas is there waiting for them.
Like I said, I think you've got probably the best defense in the Big 12.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Again, I don't want to say KU's going to be the best offense, but I think they'll be a top three offense, I think, 3 or 4.
On paper,
they'll be there.
On paper, this Hawks offense should be just so dangerous and devastating.
Should be.
They've got everybody back at the skill positions, and the offensive line isn't so bad either. Jalen Daniels, I think, ties it all together, but Devin Neal may well be, I think, because of the running backs in the Big 12 with him, he might not even be the best back in this conference, but he's probably a top 5 back in the country. This kid is electric and dangerous, in the speed on the outside, both offensively and defensively, gives you a ton to love. If their front seven can play even okay defensively, this is a Big 12 conference championship level team.
Yeah, like I said, I think that I feel good. Like I said, I do agree with Kansas will have some things to figure out in the trenches, both sides of the ball, in order to put themselves in that spot. But I like where they sit. Let's move on. We got to keep things moving here. Big Ten Conference. I'm just going to throw this out here. Mine is so chalky. I think it's Ohio State, Oregon, and I feel it's so chalky that I said I'll give you a dark horse to possibly make it. I'll throw Penn State in there. That's it. Ooh. I think Ohio State and Oregon are so far ahead of everybody else talent-wise that I just think it's going to be them. The only reason I could not see this title game happening is if Oregon struggles with the fact that they play in the Big Ten Conference now and the physicality week in and week out gets them. But I don't think that's going to be the case. Dan Lanning played in the SEC or coached in the SEC. Oregon, I think, was the most, besides Utah, Oregon was the most physical team in the Pac-12. So I think they're going to slide right in and be fine. And they have a ton of talent led by Dylan Gabriel at quarterback. And Ohio State is just loaded. I mean, if Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel say publicly that this is the most talent they've ever seen at Ohio State, folks, that's saying something. Ohio State has won national titles. They have been the most dominant team, and they've had amazing talent. You know, you can go Justin Fields and Ezekiel Elliott and gosh darn it, why can't I think of the great running back, Maurice Clarett, going back even further. If they're saying this is the most talent, I mean, that's a ridiculous statement. So Ohio State, Oregon, Big Ten title game. And I feel very good about that.
As much as it hurts, yeah, I'm the same way. And I really do think, and you know this is hurting me to say this, that Ohio State is the most talented team in the country. On paper, they're just going to be ridiculous. You get Judkins from Ole Miss. Oh, my goodness, along.
Go with Henderson.
Oh,
it's
it's almost unfair.
It's the best 1-2 punch.
It absolutely is. And it looks as dangerous, if not more so, than Michigan's running attack last year. And will they have the offensive line to that level? No, probably not. I don't think there are a lot of teams in the country that have the offensive line the level that Michigan had it last year. But that doesn't mean that this isn't a national championship level roster. And I think that they fixed the rushing defense from last year that caused them so many issues, and obviously issues on the scale of a top 5 team. But I think they meet Oregon, who just, is the same way, head and shoulders really above anybody else in the Big Ten. I like the dark horse Penn State pick, but I really feel pretty confident it's going to be Oregon and Ohio State.
Listener Greg on the FE Bank text line chimes in, says, yes, those two teams will play in Oregon against each other. Yes, I do know that. But once again, with no divisions, you can lose that game and still play each other. Still feel pretty confident in that happening. No matter who wins that game. That's on October 12th, which, by the way, is a day that no one should schedule anything.
Yes.
It's the day of college football on October 12th. They had a whole segment on it yesterday on SportsCenter talking about don't plan your wedding on this day, and it's actually like the 5th most popular wedding day. And the host on the ESPN goes, they should not be your friends. And I agree 100%. They should not be your friends. Not with that day of college football. That is a deep couch city type day with college football. Yes, Oregon, Ohio State, I think all the way for the Big Ten title game. And then our final stop before we get to break is the SEC. I thought this was no doubt the toughest conference to predict, I think, because I believe that there are probably 6 teams that could be there. You could maybe talk me into 7, but I'm going to go to 6 teams that could be there. 6 different teams. I feel pretty good that Georgia's going to be there. That's where I sit here right now. I think Georgia is ticked that they weren't in the playoff last year. They return, I think, 9 starters on offense. Kirby Smart, of course, is a defensive guru, which means that they're probably going to be good on defense again. So give me Georgia there. It's the other team that I don't know who's going to be there because you could convince me it could be Texas, although I'm not going there. They have been ravaged by the injury bug. Both top 2 running backs gone for the season for Texas. And once again, it's one of those deals you're going from the Big 12 where you don't have to bring it every week when you're Texas. Now you're in the SEC. You got to bring it every week. And I think that's going to be an adjustment for Texas for a year or two. There's Ole Miss, who had a great transfer portal haul as well. And Lane Kiffin has a high dynamic offense. I don't know how great their defense will be. You've got Alabama, who's got no Nick Saban anymore, but Caleb DeBoer has done a phenomenal, is a great coach. I mean, what has he got? 14 or 19 losses in his career of coaching, which is ridiculous. Then you have a team that almost makes me sick to say it, but Missouri looks really good this upcoming season. They have a quarterback. They've got great wide receivers.
I love Mizzou.
Luther Burden. All those guys, they've got so many good pieces at Missouri. They did lose one of their great running backs who was a D2 transfer. But
shout out D2.
Yes. And then you've got LSU and Tennessee, I think, on the outside looking in a little bit. But if I'm going to make my prediction, I'm going to say Georgia. I hate to do this. It makes me sick, but I'm going to go Georgia-Bama is what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go Georgia-Bama. Jalen Milroe is a good quarterback. Alabama still has tons of talent, including a great offensive line. And Caleb DeBoer has proven that he could just wins no matter where he goes. And I know this is the ultimate test going to one of the more ultimate programs. But I just have a feeling that the cupboard was not left bare for Kalen DeBoer, and they're going to be good. So and I think he'll put them in the right spots to have success. So give me Alabama, Georgia in the SEC title game, even though it makes me sick.
Yeah. You know what? My pick sort of makes me sick to a certain extent too, because you're absolutely right. The toughest conference to pick the chips in. There are 9 top 20 teams in this conference. 9.
To start the year when we don't know.
The year when we don't know.
Sorry, it's a Ross bugaboo.
You're right. You're right. But I've got Texas. And I know.
I get it.
I know that the injury bug specifically is going to hurt. But I feel like they can get there regardless. I think that with Quinn Ewers back, we talked so much about how experience at the quarterback position does so much for you. I think it'll do a lot here. They also did in the transfer portal do almost as much as my other pick, Ole Miss. I am very high on Ole Miss.
Not a title game. That'd be good. That'd be entertaining.
Leaving Georgia off is tough because, to be honest with you, I think those 3 are interchangeable at the top. No disrespect to Alabama. Georgia could just as easily be in here. Ole Miss has absolutely crushed the transfer portal. And Ross mentioned not being sure what they'll do defensively. That's definitely the question mark. But most of their haul, transfer-wise, was on that side of the football. I think it does a lot for them. They've got a lot of proven guys, a lot of guys from places like Florida and like Alabama who are really high-level ball players, and have played at high level. They also got Antoine Wells from South Carolina, who's just one hell of a receiver. And Jackson Dart under center speaks for himself. His name is literally Dart, but he really is a top-level quarterback this year. He could be a top 10, top 5 Heisman type of dude. In the schedule, I think the biggest thing for me with Ole Miss is the schedule. It really works out well for them. As far as an SEC schedule goes, it's pretty light. They've got Georgia at home in November. That's tough, but their only other 2 ranked games are at LSU and home for Oklahoma, who I'm not very high on this year. I think it's Ole Miss, Texas, as much as it begrudges me to keep Georgia off that list.
I can't go with Texas. They have 3, according to Athlon Sports, they have 3 players named to the All-SEC team. 3. One's a wide receiver, one's an offensive lineman, the other one is a kicker. They don't have anybody on defense. And I just have a gut feeling, and this is just me, coming from a guy who's followed a program that did it and has done it. When you switch conferences, going from that Big 12 to a power conference like the Big 10 or the SEC can be a challenge, because it's not that you're not talented enough. It's the fact that every week you're playing a team that's just as good as you.
Oh, yeah.
That's the hard part. And think about it. How many times over the course of the line, we got to get to break, but how many times over the course of the last few seasons have you watched, let's just use Texas as an example, and you've watched it and you're like, they just about lost to that team. I'm not saying that would have been a terrible loss, but you're like, golly, that was a close. Like, I just go back a couple of years ago, Lance Leipold's first year, they lost in overtime to KU. Yeah. Last year, they almost lost to K-State in Austin. Well, no offense to Kansas State, but almost lost that game. And no offense to Kansas State or KU, I think those teams would probably have some struggles in the SEC. Not saying they wouldn't make a bowl game, but that's my point. Week in and week out, you're playing every game that Texas plays is Oklahoma, Texas, is what it's going to be like. I don't think Texas is ready for that yet. They don't know that because they haven't experienced it, and there's nothing they can do to practice for that. Every game is the Red River Shootout. Every game is that. And I think that's going to wear on them as the season goes on, and I think we're going to see them come up short of the SEC title game. I still think they're going to have a very good year, but I think they're going to end up short of the SEC title game.
Fair enough. I definitely feel better about the Ole Miss pick than I do the Texas one, but we do have to get to break.
All right, we'll get to a break. Up next, Kyle Gefeller joins us next here on the Morning Blitz.
You are in the driver's seat. With all the latest devices, the choice is yours. You pick between 18, 24, or 36-month terms.
As summer fades in the rearview mirror, it's time to gear up for the upcoming school year. Make sure you're prepared for all the adventures ahead with a new or pre-owned vehicle from Vince's GM Center in Burlington. Whether you lead the carpool, transport the team's equipment, or simply want to ensure the safety of your student driver, Vince's offers the perfect vehicle at the right price to make this school year one for the books. Shop their large selection at vincesgmcenter.com or visit them at 1847 Rose Avenue. Vince's GM Center in Burlington, where they've been selling cars for over 40 years and making friends for life.
Good morning, this is Kate Thompson with the Anderson Trade Group. Today is Thursday, August 15th. And on the overnights last night, September corn lower 3/4 cents at $3.80 1/4. December down a half at $4. March down a quarter at $4.17 3/4. May down 3/4 at $4.28. September beans up a cent at $9.53 1/4. November up 1.5 at $9.70. January up 1 3/4 at $9.88 1/4. And March up 1 1/4 at $10.03 1/4. Chicago wheat, the September contract higher 3 cents on the overnight at $5.37 3/4. December up 3 1/4 at $5.59 1/2. March up 3 1/2 at $5.77 3/4. And May up 3 1/2 at $5.88 3/4. Kansas City wheat, the September contract higher 3 1/4 at $5.49 1/2. December up 3 1/2 at $5.64 3/4. March up 3 1/4 at $5.76 3/4. And May up 3 cents at $5.84 1/2. On the stock market this morning, the Dow up 391 at 40,510. The S&P up 52 at 5,529. The Nasdaq up 220 at 19,338. Gold up $4.10 an ounce at 2,483, and crude oil up 47 cents a barrel at 77.45. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call, John Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Pluto, Jared Law, or Tyler Dosh at 913-748-3000.
When it comes to growing soybeans, you need an advantage. And with Zetavo soybean seed, you get a big one. 3.4 bushels per acre big. It's a yield advantage made possible by BASF genetics, proprietary germplasm, and industry-leading seed quality. Talk to your retailer today about staying ahead of the game with Zetavo soybean seed from BASF. Zetavo soybean seed.
When challenging conditions arise, we don't back down. We up our game. Outpacing the competition with innovations fueled by Bayer's R&D, keeping you equipped with an expanded portfolio, elite genetics, and additional local test plots. Channel leads the field, so you can rise above. See how you can save at channel.com/finance24. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, and cleaner American fuel. This message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Whether you're buying your first house or your retirement dream home, we know the importance of getting a mortgage you can live with. At F&B Bank, our goal is to make your financing search quick and enjoyable, from the terms to the personal attention along the way. Give me, Brett Lampy, a call at 785-890-5616 to apply today. F&B Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
You're tuned in to the Morning Blitz.
Did we just become best friends?
With Ross Volkmer and Christian Peck-Dimit.
Yep.
Thanks to those texting on the FE Bank text line. Listener Michael was a big fan of my Rock Chalk pick to go to the Big 12 title game. But
Your pick, yeah.
Yeah, that was my pick. I had a pick. No. I said it first. Just joking. He just followed suit. I'm joking entirely.
I saw the text and I had to jump off of
Nonetheless, we spent enough time talking college football, and I knew we would spend a ton of time on that topic. I had a feeling, but thank goodness Kyle Gefeller is very forgiving. Kyle, good morning. Head coach of Walscan Football. How's it going today, buddy?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're doing very well. How has the summer been for you?
Summer was good. Really good weights attendance. So looking good in that department. Lower numbers this year, but the boys showed up and put in the work.
How about yourself personally? Did you find some time to have some fun, get away, or was it mostly just a focus on getting ready for the season?
We get that 1 week during July, so that was my one little week of freedom. But yep, spent a lot of time prepping. Got some new changes in the coaching staff, so
how
getting with them and.
Yeah, tell me about the summer preparation from a coach's perspective. Tell me kind of what you did to kind of get prepared for the season during the summer months from your perspective as the coach.
Yeah, what I like to do is, it always sucks seeing a bunch of seniors go, but you got to get with your coaches, look what you have, figure out what we need to focus on, where are we lacking. For example, in our case this year is some size, so we kind of started doing a little bit of lower reps, a lot more weight, try to put some size on these boys.
When you talked about filling your coaching staff, how much of a struggle, if at all, was it to find bodies or people to come help you on the staff? I know that's an issue at a lot of places.
Yeah. So my dad finally retired, and then I lost Landon Johnson as well. But the man in the booth for us last year, Chance Rains, stepped up pretty fast, so I filled that one pretty fast. I'm hoping to get one more here before next Monday, but we're looking.
I know it's such a struggle to get that done. You've had a couple of really good seasons back to back, a 7-4 and a 6-4 year. When you look back at the last couple of seasons, what made those seasons so successful in your opinion?
Leadership. I had a great upperclassman. Last year we graduated 8 seniors, so I'm returning 1 starter on defense and 1 starter on offense. So leadership the last 2 years was huge.
How do you go about cultivating new leadership as you get set for this season with just those 2 seniors?
Yep. I started it early last year, probably about a week after the last game. I pulled the juniors, now seniors, into my office, and we had a little talk about what I expected throughout, basketball and track and what to expect from them. Really step in now and start getting those guys to kind of rally around them and take that leader role on.
Do you feel that they have stepped up into that leadership role? What have you seen sort of throughout weights from them?
Yes, I have. Making sure boys are there. There's a couple times some kids want to sleep in. The upperclassmen will hop in their pickups and go make sure that they're not sleeping. So
Kyle Gefeller.
Really positive too. So, yep.
Kyle Gefeller, head coach of the Wallace County High School football team, joining us here on the Morning Blitz on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. What year is this? This year 3, 4, or is it more?
this would be my third year as the head.
Yeah, third year as the head coach there at Wallace County. You talked about the inexperience, but with that means, you just sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get that could be good. What do you think about the team? Have you had some chances to work with them on the football field? Maybe it's a camp or summertime stuff. And what have you seen from that?
Yeah, we had a really good camp actually. Saw a lot of good stuff, a lot of small things that I think we can get cleaned up, before this first game coming up. But great attitudes. The kids want to be there. They picked up quick. They learned fast. Going to rely on a bunch of younger kids to step up and really fill some big shoes, but I think they're ready.
Sometimes coaches have to, I don't know, one of your mentors, Jeff Hennick, has said this before, but, sometimes you have to change up what you usually like to do in order to fit your kids. Do you feel like that's going to be the case this year?
Yes, it is. Both sides of the ball. We're going to have to do some things a little different than we have in the past. But we're trying to make it so it's kind of the same fundamentals and same kind of concept as the past that they know without making their heads start spinning. But yeah, we're going to have to do a little changing with the bodies that we have, but we're going to have to utilize what we have.
Isn't that the best thing, though, about 8-man football is that you can still win even if you're not the biggest team?
Yeah. Yep. I love it.
And no one will know that better than Kyle Gefeller. We'll get to more on that in just a few minutes here. What about the schedule this year? When you look at the schedule, how does it look? How does it play out in your mind? Is it a challenging schedule, a managing schedule? What do you think about the schedule this year?
I'd say our schedule right now, it's pretty even. We're going to play 2 teams this year who we haven't played in a while because they were 6-man. They got bumped up. That's our opening game against Deerfield. So we don't know much about them. We have some film on them, but that 6-man's a wild game. So. And then one of our district games, Tribune, Greeley County, also got bumped up to 8-man, and we haven't seen them for a while either. So,
can you tell us your thought process and your scouting process as a coach trying to evaluate a football team with 2 less players on it?
Main thing is figure out which one's their playmaker. In 6-man, the person that originally takes the snap, he can either throw it, but he can't advance the ball. So figure out who the playmaker is, and in 8-man football, that's probably going to be your quarterback. So, and then just try to get a concept down, or you think they're going to try to spread it out. Defensively, which I think we have a pretty good idea what to expect from Deerfield coming up.
Once again, Kyle Gefeller, our guest from Wallace County High School. He's the head football coach down there. I want to wrap up the conversation, Kyle, talking about, do you talk to your kids about your playing days? I always considered you to be one of the utility man of Wallace County football for many years back in your playing days.
Yep. The kids were young. They still remember it a lot. And there's a couple of them that I'm trying, like I said, I was blessed, but I got a couple kids who are athletic. I'm trying to get them learn how to kick and punt and do all that. And they're picking up quick on it. So they don't necessarily want to do it, but sometimes you just gotta suck it up and learn it.
What are some of the highlights that you remember from your playing days? Like maybe it was a game or something like that stands out in your mind?
Sophomore year and senior year at Hoxie.
Oh yeah, those were good games.
Yeah,
those were good games. Oh man, what was your favorite position to play? Because as I've said before, you played everywhere: quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver. You kicked, you punted. What was your favorite spot?
Definitely quarterback.
Of course. Why? What else would it be?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wallace County head football coach Kyle Gefeller. Kyle, thank you so much for waiting for us and for joining us today. We wish you the best of luck, and we'll catch up as the season gets rolling. Okay, buddy?
Sounds good. Appreciate it, guys.
Once again, great stuff there from Kyle Gefeller talking a little.
Do you remember those Hoxie games?
Oh yeah, those were good. I honestly, gosh, I'm thinking Kyle Gefeller's sophomore year was my first year calling games.
Oh, there you go.
So I remember going to Hoxie to cover that game for when we had a game of the week. And that back when that was Hoxie and Wallace County, my first few years, that was a game on the schedule you pretty much wanted to go to because it was going to be good. Those were 2 very good teams. Wallace County, when I got here, was a team that, and Jeff Hennick was the head coach at the time, who now at Oakley. And they had they had great players. Kyle Gefeller and Gavin Moat. Those were some really good players that they had. And there's some other guys, too, that I'm drawing a blank on. But those guys, of course, were key pieces for them. And they were so well-rounded. They were really good. And Hedman Hoxie were really good games. Rollins County was a good team. St. Francis. Now, St. Francis was good when they dropped from 11 to 8-man. They were 11 when I got here, and they dropped to 8-man. So, and now we're starting to see a little bit of 6-man come back up to 8-man. So we're seeing the fluctuation a little bit here in Western Kansas. But that's all right. It's been fun to follow. But yes, the Hoxie-Wallace County games when I was here was very good. Wallace County was a team that played for state titles when I was starting out. So they were very, very good. And they still are a very solid program with Kyle Gefeller. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll wrap the show with some final thoughts next here on the Morning Blitz.
Let's see. If something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into. And that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month. And that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment, or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
Summertime is here, and so are your local Hoover Lumber Ace hardware stores with anything and almost everything you need for these warm days. Give your place a new look with Benjamin Moore paints. Keep your lawn looking its best with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. And they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills from Traeger and Weber, plus the popular flat-top Blackstone griddles. Find it all and much more at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Colby and Goodland. Open every day but Sunday.
The Chevy Summer Drive event is going on right now at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Right now, you can get a Chevy Silverado 1500 pickup with up to $5,750 of total rebates when you trade in an eligible vehicle, or get 1.9% financing on select 2023 and 24 model Chevrolets, plus no payments for 90 days. As always, go to hurlchev.com to schedule any service or check out what's on the lot, or just stop on by in South Goodland.
Want to be part of the Morning Blitz?
Sometime I'll give you a piece of my mind, like right now.
Send your thoughts to the F&B Bank text line at 785-899-2222.
Wrap up a show here on a Thursday. I don't know where it went. That was a fast show.
It was.
It's one of those days you're like, boy, I really could use another hour to get some more thoughts in, especially on some of those conference title games. But nonetheless.
We were rushing through them at the end, too.
Yeah, I had to kind of put the hammer down, unfortunately. It's just the way this show goes at this point in time. We talked about it, kick off the show. J.J. McCarthy, Christian's boy, done for the season. Going to have that knee completely fixed back up with that meniscus tear. Couldn't clean it up. They're going to have to completely get it redone. So McCarthy's done. How much do you think that impacts with Sam Darnold being the quarterback? I don't know if we're going to see much of a change.
Yesterday, I said something along the lines of, you make sure he gets fully healthy. He probably wasn't going to start week one anyways. Sam Darnold's not a bad backup. I don't think that Vikings fans are too mad about this. And I am many things, but someone who fails to admit when they are wrong is not one of them. I talked personally with a number of Vikings fans yesterday who are absolutely distraught I said something along the lines of almost, and I quote, Vikings fans won't be too mad about this. They are absolutely mad. They are in shambles. So yeah, I thought it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Evidently, it may just be.
I heard somebody say when they watch Sam Darnold play quarterback, when they watch 10 passes, 5 of them are the best throws you've ever seen in your life, and 5 of them you wish you would have never seen.
He did throw a pick 6 at practice yesterday, so great start.
Yeah, hey, he's the man now.
Yeah, they don't really have a choice.
No. I think they're going to possibly look at Ryan Tannehill to possibly be the backup. I mean, like I said, time to go looking for somebody else. Also, by the way, trade yesterday, Matthew Judon, great defensive pass rusher, going to the Falcons, which honestly probably works out for both teams. The Patriots get rid of a disgruntled player, although they only get a round 3 pick. But at the same time, the Falcons get a pass rusher, which is what everyone thought they needed when they went through the draft. Instead, they went and got Michael Penix. So I think it worked out okay for Atlanta when it's all said and done.
Judon is a Micah Parsons type guy. Not that he's at that level, but he was a pass rusher. He was a linebacker. He was a DN. What position did he play? Yes, is usually the answer. He's an absolute stud. They had to get rid of him, but for only a 3rd rounder is absolute highway robbery.
Seems a little cheap, yeah. Seems a little cheap.
A 3-run walk-off home run. A game-winning walk-off with a walk-off. His 2nd walk-off hit of the season. In walk-off fashion. That baby's go.
Walking it off here, Royals able to avoid a sweep at the hands of the Twins. Get a win yesterday. Bobby Witt Jr. goes deep for the 24th time this season. Paul DeYoung, the guy traded for at the trade deadline, triple short of the cycle. I love when they ask him, well, what do you think about getting the cycle? He goes, you know how old I am? Getting a triple is going to take a miracle. That's what he said.
Cole Reagans was phenomenal, too.
Oh, he was. He was great. No walks. He was great. Cole Reagans. 3 consecutive wins for Cole Reagans. And the Rockies, well, they lose again to the Diamondbacks. And I think the thing that hurt the most, they were down 5-0 after 2 innings, including 4-0 after the first. Jock Peterson got a Little League home run against the Rockies. Michael Tolia threw a ball into left center field where nobody was. It rolled to the wall. And Jock Peterson got an inside the park Little League home run.
Tanner Gardner started on the bump for them and went 2 outs.
Yeah, it was not good. I watched it. It was not good. It was not good for the Rockies. They lose 11-4. It was not good. And also a shout out to the Colby Community College volleyball team. I saw this. They were picked to finish 2nd in the Kansas Jayhawk Community College Conference predicted order of finish there in the league. So they're picked to finish 2nd, only behind Barton. At this point in time, I was going to say rounding out the top 5. I think there's Dodge City, Butler, and Hutch round out the top 5. CCC volleyball gets going here August 23rd, a week from tomorrow, down in Midland, Texas. So, but picked to finish 2nd in the league. All right, that'll do it for us today. For Christian, I'm Ross. It's CPD's final show tomorrow. We'll see you then.